Hi everybody, my name is Marta Mama. I'm your basic queer bitch, and since I'm from Spain but I grew up in the US, I think I have kind of a unique perspective on Drag Race España. So let me tell you everything you didn't get because of the translation. So there was no video last week. It was the reunion. I was kind of busy and there wasn't really much to talk about. So I just skipped that. I'm very sorry, but well, it's fine. It's fine. I know you guys forgive me. And this week there are not many references to talk about really. So I'm just gonna do the same thing I always do and talk about whatever I want because it's our show and not yours. Woo! This week is the grand finale. We have a winner. Congratulations to Carmen Faralla. She is a very, very well-deserving winner. If we take all the winners, all the competitors from every single season of Drag Race, all the All-Stars, all the international season, she is the one that has performed the best. If we use a system similar to what Bossy Queen uses in her reviews, she is the contestant from any Drag Race in history that has performed the best. She is a very well-deserving queen, very well-rounded queen, and she is the very deserving winner. So congratulations to her. But you know I don't care very much about who wins or who loses or the reality TV aspect of all of that. I'm interested in the art. I'm interested in the artists and why they make their artistic decisions. So I'm just gonna talk about all the queens because they got to come back for the reunion and they got to come back for the last episode. So I just want to talk a little bit about each and every one of them since we already knew, I think, who was going to win for a very long time. So that's what I think is a little bit more interesting. And I love to see all the girls back for both the reunion and the last episode. I love to see their last runways. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy that we had this Drag Race España and that Drag Race España was like this. So first we have back on the runway the Macarena, and the Macarena looks like this. She was recreating Mazinger Z, and I think this is very interesting because Macarena as a drag performer has two main references. One would be the flamenco folk diva that we have here. She's usually wearing, like in the reunion, she was wearing a flamenco dress, or her entrance look that had the peineta and was very flamenco inspired. That's one of her references. But the other one is like the nerdy Macarena that loves anime and Sailor Moon and kawaii stuff. And I love that she chose the stupid fantasy anime kawaii with this look. I loved it so much. I was screaming when I saw this. I had no clue she was going to wear this. And please look at the details. There are 3 roses on her shoulders. She had a peineta on the top of the helmet. I've talked about peinetas before, but it's part of the traditional costume that they have here in Andalusia. And I want to talk a little bit about Macarena, the good things about Macarena and the bad things about Macarena. The fact that Macarena is probably the only contestant that is bringing the flamenco diva references to the race, I think is very important because not only for drag, especially for drag, but for our whole queer culture, that is something that is very, very important. Flamenco, not only flamenco, but these big divas inspire our queer culture very, very much. And Macarena chose to bring that. I actually missed more of that because that is very important in our culture. So if you see her reunion look was the flamenco dress, or the way she sings and acts and performs, the accent that she has, the language that she uses. She always speaks in a very like queer coded Spanish lingo, and her references, I think that, you know, I've been saying from the first episode that Macarena is my favorite. You know, I don't give a fuck about reality. I'm not interested in reality. The world is not very nice. I'm not interested in the real world. So I've been saying since episode 1 that Macarena was my favorite. She is very talented. I love her references. I love she is bringing something that is very traditional from Spain and our queer culture, and she's mixing that with all the Japanese anime kawaii things that she brings. I just love this queen very much. The only like downside that I can find from Macarena is that she left first and we didn't get to see her much, and I don't know, it's probably for the best, because when she left, like, everyone loves her. She is a very lovable person, and when she left, everyone was gutted because we love her so very much. Next, we have Drag Vulcano with all the Canary Island drag fantasy. Weren't you gagging with Drag Vulcano? Okay, so the downside of Drag Vulcano is that Canary Island drag is a very, very, very different regional and traditional way of doing drag. It's the only type of drag that has been televised in Spain since the 90s, I believe. And it's the only drag thing that was available for all of us. But it's something that is very regional and only from the Canary Islands. And the Canary Islands are this far from Spain. So it's something that is like quite regional and specific from that place. But in Spain for many years, if you talk about like drag, you would think about like the Canary Island drag. So in the Canary Islands, they have this like huge show. It's like a huge pageant that has a winner, where each like main drag queen has this huge production on a stage in front of like 20,000 people. I don't know how many people, but thousands and thousands of people. So it's like a performance of 10 minutes with these huge costumes that are meant to be seen from like very, very far away, because you have a huge audience. So it's all meant to be like super huge and easy to see from very, very far away. You know, when they say that you paint for the back row, well, in Canary Islands, you have to paint for like, imagine like a football stadium. Well, for the back row of that football stadium. So that is that type of drag. They have one huge production a year for like 10 minutes or whatever, and then they start preparing for the next year. So that's that type of drag, and I think it's great and it's absolutely wonderful, and it is drag, of course it is, and it's something that's very close to our hearts, because it's the only thing that we've had really that was drag on TV forever. But this is something like that is meant to be like once a year in a huge stage outdoors with thousands and thousands of people. So the way you can translate that into Drag Race is very difficult, because it's a very different type of drag. She comes from such a different background of what drag means that she's probably not going to be very good at Drag Race, because, you know, this is what she does. But it was so important that she was there. It was so important that Canary Island drag was included. It was so important that she made all of you gag with her looks. And Canary Island drag has always been very interesting. I'm going to leave like some Drag Vulcano performances in this like huge pageant carnival thing that they do. And I'm going to leave a couple more. I'm going to leave a couple more that are like more subversive and counterculture and anti-establishment and all these things that drag is supposed to be. Canary Island drag can be as well. So I'm a huge fan of the work she does. I just think that that type of drag is very difficult to translate in a drag race competition. but weren't you gagging? But, well, I'm very happy that she was there. I don't think that she's like a drag race girl. I think she's an excellent drag queen, and she's the best at what she does. So then we have Inti. Inti looked gorgeous with this Palomo Spain dress as well. She has worn many Palomo Spain before. I think she works with him maybe as a model or something like that. I'm not sure. So what I want to say about Inti is that I was completely gagged. I'm still am completely gagged with her as an artist, as a, it's not, I don't think that she is a drag race girl. You know, she comes from ballroom, and I think she is a subversive, radical, activist, anti-establishment, anti-racist person of color that is an artist. And just like Drag Vulcano, trying to encompass that in Drag Race, which is taking something that is supposed to be subversive and counterculture and anti-establishment that comes from people of color and creating like a product that is meant for consumption. I think those are things that are not going to marry well. I loved what she did. I love that she left. I understand that 100%. And I think like after her, if there is a second season of Drag Race, I need to see people of color behind the camera. I need you guys in the production to hire people of color. There are people of color. I don't want to see just one queen that is a person of color. I would love to see more than one, because there are many drags that are people of color in Spain. I would like to see people of color behind the cameras as well, and not using them just as like the product and not really benefiting behind the cameras. So I think she brought a lot of interesting topics about what body dysmorphia means when you're a non-binary person, all the non-binary talk, the intersex genitals, the fact that trans indigenous women in Spain have to do survival sex work in order to survive. Her entrance in the workroom was that, like, your dad forgot this, and she threw these boxers with the Spanish flag. And in case you guys don't know, the Spanish flag is like a very, very conservative, very like racially, like there's a lot of things, a lot of symbolism in the Spanish flag. It's like in the United States, imagine that you guys still had the Confederate flag. So you're not going to see, if you see someone that is wearing the Spanish flag in Spain, they are probably like very, very conservative people, probably religious. They probably have a not very nice opinion about people of color and immigration, you know, all that, all those meanings. So the fact that she threw away a boxer with the Spanish flag and said, your dad forgot this at my apartment last night, or whatever she said. Girl, you, like, she comes from ballroom. She is not supposed to be like this fishy queen. She's supposed to be a creature, a goddess. She is not supposed to be this product of consumption that Drag Race want the queens to be. She is supposed to be an artist, not even a drag artist. She's supposed to be the person she is and make artistic things, because there's no other way she can express herself. But I don't think she's a correct fit in Drag Race. She's a lot more than Drag Race. I would be gutted if the only thing we got from Inti was just the product that she can bring to the consumption of drag and queer people. I like that she just left and she had her Crystal of Asia moment with, I have a right to show my color. I think that she brings a lot to the table. I love Inti very much. I don't want to see her in Drag Race because I think she's a lot more interesting out of Drag Race. Does that make any sense? I want to see her. I don't know. I would love to have her in like a legendary. I would love to have like a European legendary. If you don't want legendary, I want to see her there, like, and all her like sisters and everything. Yeah, I don't know. Then we have Arancia Castilla-La Mancha. She was wearing this Scream costume. Scream is her favorite movie, and she looked gorgeous. And she had a lot of hate online because this look was simple. You guys aren't getting it, I think. Like, if Arancia had all the money and time in the world, she would probably look like that. Maybe she would invest the money in having like a huge production where all her friends could perform with her. She is not about having gaggy looks. I know they had a lot of problems with this last look, and I know they were sewing till the very, very last minute. And I think she looked great. And the way she sold it down the runway, I would rather have someone like Arancia wearing that and doing the stupid things where she like gets scared when she looked at her own mask. I would rather have that than having like this gorgeous gown. It's about charisma a lot of the time. And with Drag Race, I think that when you're taking something that is supposed to be like subversive and counterculture, but at the same way have a lot of references in pop culture, and when you want to make that into a product that anyone can consume, you have to create a narrative on how the viewers can participate. The commentary that we get from Drag Race is a lot of the times is just about the look. We have this toot or boot culture from the US, and it's like the only way people can participate in the art of drag, saying this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And we're only talking about the looks most of the time. And that is, in my opinion, trying to make drag something where you can participate, where you have a voice, where your opinion counts. And that is something that it sounds just a lot like a product of consumption. These are artists. This is not a product. These are performers. Drag is about living your own fantasy. And I think there is no other contestant that lives in her own fantasy and gives you the fantasy like Arancia does. So I loved this look. I loved that she didn't try to do something like you guys want her to do. This is what Arancia wanted to wear because this is her favorite movie. She was hilarious. She looked gorgeous. And stop trying to compare. And I know everyone wants to participate and we all want to have an opinion and we all want to have a voice, but we have to understand things in their own context. And this is not a product where this is not like if you taste like 50 different types of food and you say, I like this one better. This one is a little salty. This one, no, these are like not products. They are people that choose their art and how they want to express themselves. And if we agree that drag is creating a fantasy that you believe and entertaining the people that are around you and having a likability and being almost like relatable and being able to live the fantasies that you cannot live because you live in a queer world. That's what drag means. That's why in the ballroom scene they had executive realness, because queer people were not going to be like huge executives. So it's the way that we create the reality that we want to live. The person that does that the most, that believes it, that makes you love her, that is Arancia. And judging Arancia because she doesn't look like Violet Chachki is not very smart. It's not. So I know that you want to participate and give your opinion. The only thing I'm going to ask you, I'm not even going to ask you to like her because you don't have to. The only thing I'm going to ask you is that if you're going to leave a not nice comment, if you're going to say something that is not the nicest, just don't tag her. Don't comment on her posts. You can you can talk shit with your friends, you know? And then when you can flush it out of your system, you can say, oh, I hated Arancia's look. But if you go to her Twitter and you tag her picture and you say, she looks like shit, you're not very smart, are you? So that's all I have to say about Arancia. I love her because she is the one that understands what the fantasy means, and she lives in her own world where she is Hannah Montana and she is whoever she wants to be, because that it is really what drag is about, living your own fantasy and entertaining people. And I love her very, very much. Next we have Uga Grugente. Uga Grugente, I think, is probably one of the artists that have impressed me the most in the last 5 years. I'm not counting drag artists, any type of artist. I think that what they have to offer is so interesting, and I think they are leaving a mark on history. I've said this before. I see Ugacio in similar spaces where Hungry is right now, if you are familiar with Hungry's work. Hungry has nothing to do with Drag Race, but they've been fundamental in makeup and fashion and editorial pictures and magazines, and the way they paint, it has been very important in the world. Or even Juno Burge, that has a very unique way of painting and presenting herself. I see Ugacio in those spaces, creating their own narrative, their own conceptual things. I think he's a very, very interesting artist. The only downside that I see is that I don't really think that Drag Race is the correct environment for us to really appreciate what Ugacio can give, if that makes sense. Because taking an artist like Ugacio and having him compete on challenges that have nothing really to do with what he does is fun, but I would love to see them in an environment where they can really experiment a little bit and create things and use their whole creative power. And I hope that Drag Race gives them the opportunity to have that context where they can express themselves freely, if that makes sense. This look was absolutely beautiful and stunning. It's one of the ones that I've probably liked the most. It reminded me a little bit when Yuyubi was in the All-Stars finale look, but in an Ugacio way. If you take a closer look, they have a little face here in the headpiece, and that face is even painted like Ugacio. Ugacio is a queen of little details, of a whole concept of, I'm really interested in what they have to bring to the table. And even as a performer, physical comedy or lip syncs, I really liked the little sketch that they did with Poopy Poison. I really liked the lip sync where Arancia went home and Ugacio was wearing the yellow Marbella thing, and they did the Bad Gyal lip sync. I think that they did a very good job. I just think Drag Race is not the best context for them to explore their art. After that, we have Dobby Manuremi. Dobby Manuremi, as always, looked the best. I think Dobby Manuremi in her real life, she's a stylist, and you can tell. I think that you can never say anything wrong about the way she looks, not even in the first episode where she was in the bottom. She was in the bottom because, it was easy, but it was cool, and her aesthetics and everything. I'm not even mad at the fact that she wanted to be this villain. I don't care about any of that. The only like downside that I see to Dobima is the fact that she is a stylist that created a persona to be able to style the way that she wants. Because when you're a stylist, you have clients and you work for people, and you can never like feel the complete fantasy because there are rules and stuff. So having the Dobima, she can really use her stylist superpowers. The only like downside to that is that I don't really see her as a performer. From all of them, Dobima is probably the one that I wouldn't pay to watch live. You know what I mean? I'm not even mad at her like personal life and things, or the way she acted with like Ugacia. Not happy about that, but that's not why I watch Drag Race. It's probably one of the ones that I would follow on Instagram for the longest time, and I really love what they have to bring aesthetically, but not as a performer. Honestly, I'm not very interested in her as a performer. I'm interested in their looks and, you know, their job as a stylist. So then we have Poopy Poison. Poopy Poison was this like angel warrior thing, and I'm so happy to see her there. I always knew that she wasn't going to win, but you know, I've always been like, the Macarena and Poopy Poison are my favorites because that's the type of drag that I'm more interested in. Those are the type of artists that I would pay a lot of money to watch live, to be honest. And I love their references and I love what they represent. And I think they have a lot to offer for international viewers. So Poopy with these wings looked like a tiny little person, and I think it was so shady that because she won Miss Congeniality, one of her prizes for winning Miss Congeniality was carrying the crown that was for another person. So she looked all fabulous, and they give her a little pillow with a huge crown, and she's like, really? Really? You're gonna make, like, are you gonna rub it in my face anymore? Like, I think that was so shady. So it was the three of them, and then Poopy like, I know I didn't win, but you guys don't have to be this hurtful. It was so shady. I love her so much. I think that especially international viewers have hated a lot on Poopy, and I'm glad that I get to explain a little bit more about the context and make people love Poopy Poison a little bit more. Of course, her looks are shitty and are camp as fuck, and it's not only that they're camp but spectacular. No, they're just camp and shitty, and that's the way I want it. I would be like extremely disappointed if she looked like Violet Chachki, to be honest. You know, like Poopy Poison has always been a certain way, and I want Poopy Poison to still be that way. So I'm very, very happy that people are loving her, that people understand that she is not what Drag Race is looking for in a winner, but she is the type of queer artist that we have to celebrate and protect. And I know you guys want to like participate in the Drag Race, and I do too. This is just my opinion, just like everything. But talking about Poopy Poison's looks is like, who would you pay for? If you have to choose one of them and you have to pay, I don't know, like $30 to watch live, who would you choose? You would choose Poopy probably, and I would too. So that is what makes, in my opinion, a drag artist to be successful, because it's not all about fitting and what Drag Race expects from you. It's about being loved as a person and as an artist, because her looks are shitty. She's funny, but she's not like the funniest person ever. She's a good person, but she has been shady as fuck as well. She's not excellent at anything, but I think we've never seen such a like lovable queen. Like, she's been the one that has been commenting the whole season, all her like funny shady jokes. This season wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't for Poopy. Of course Poopy wasn't going to win. How is Poopy ever going to win? Like, but it's like what Baga Chips gave to Drag Race UK. It's like what, I don't know, Henny gave to RuPaul in the US. There are certain type of people that are extremely epic just being and living, and that's it. And last video I commented a lot about Poopy and why I love her, and why talking about the fact that she is not polished is not like the smartest thing. And I'm so glad, because the people from Antena 3, which is one of the TV networks, one of the 2-3 most important TV networks that we have in Spain, Antena 3 shared that in a tweet, my love story with Poopy Poison. And I'm very glad that there are a lot of people that were saying mean things about her in the beginning, and that really hated her, and they wanted her out of the competition. And through the episodes and the editing as well, we've all got to love her very much. And that doesn't mean we think she's the cutest or the funniest, or she's like shady at times, and that's fine, because that she represents what we celebrate here in Spain. So I'm super happy that she was there. I think she was one of the keys to the success that Drag Race España has had. Then we have our finalists. We have Killer Queen first. Killer Queen come out with this like Ursula from the Little Mermaid inspired look, and she looks great. She always looked great. Honestly, from all the queens, she's probably the one that I love more as a person. And I don't know, I really love her. I think she's very lovable, not only likable, she's lovable. She is a good person, she's a doctor, she's an activist, and I really like her as a person. A lot of people don't really get her, and I think the only reason, because she's very good at everything, I think the only reason Killer Queen didn't win, and trying to be completely objective here, because this is something I don't even care about that much, but I think the only reason Killer Queen didn't win is because she doesn't have, or she wasn't able to convey, a unique artistic vision about who Killer Queen is. And the fact that her last look was Ursula, I don't want to see Ursula, I want to see Killer. And I always see Killer dressed up as things, but there's never an outfit that I would see and I would say, oh, that is so Killer. You know what I mean? The fact that she's like the complete opposite of Ugacio, or I don't know. There are a lot of queens where you can say, oh, that look is so her. And with Killer Queen, that doesn't happen. But Killer Queen comes from a very conservative and religious background, and she was extremely bullied growing up. And when you are in the margins and you are extremely bullied and you come from a community that doesn't celebrate what makes you special, how do you develop as an artist? How? You can either become this radical artist that doesn't give a fuck about what anyone thinks, or you can become someone that takes everything they admire and they try to put on themselves. And that's what I see with Killer Queen. She does everything correctly, she is good at everything, but there's this certain like artistic editorial view that she doesn't have. There's not a unique artistic perspective many times in Killer Queen. We see a lot of like Gaga inspired look, or like villains inspired, or but there's not something that you can see and say that is so killer. She has the more is more thing, but that's what is lacking. But I understand that, because I understand where she comes from, and I understand that when you are in the margins and you're a drag artist and you come from this background, how can you have a unique perspective? You need some type of validation. Sometimes I think maybe I'm being like the psychologist. I'm no one to talk about what Killer went through. I'm just giving my opinion, and I have no clue about anything, and I'm probably wrong at everything I say, but well, what I believe is that when you come from that background, you're looking probably for a certain type of validation. And the way you can have validation as an artist is excelling at what you do. So not being risky as an artist and being more of like aesthetically, I mean with her looks, more like a pleaser artist and trying to excel at everything you do, but forgetting that there should be sometimes like a concept that unifies everything. We understand who Killer is, but this more is more. It's not just about her looks. It's about it when Killer tries to explain who Killer Queen is as an artist. I hear like all these like million references, and I don't see like a unique perspective, something that is common in all the different looks that she has. I don't know if that makes sense. Does it? I don't care about that personally, because I understand the artists in their own context. And maybe I'm wrong and I'm not getting it and I'm not smart enough. But I think that's the only reason Killer didn't win. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have to protect our queer youth. And we have to protect our queer artists, especially when they're young, so they can really flourish how they want to flourish. And I don't know how Killer Queen, I don't know the type of artist that Killer Queen would have been if she didn't go through all these struggles. I know that the final result is a wonderful drag queen, but when we're talking about that the Drag Race winner is still like a product, a consumable product that we are creating in order to like sell stuff, that's what it is. It's difficult to win when you don't have like this unique perspective that no one else has, and you're only good at everything. I think it's best not to be that good on everything, but having something that makes you you and something that makes you unique. And I don't want to be like disrespectful with her, and I'm not a hypocrite. I really think that I love her. I think I understand where she comes from. I'm also from a very traditional background. And I think that this is something that I see in a lot of my queer friends that are artists. How you balance being creative and unique versus having validation because you know what works and you excel at that. I understand that struggle for any like queer artist, and that's what I see when I see Killer, and when she talks about like being bullied and being from a conservative background. I think like, yeah, that makes sense. I get it now. Now I understand why she is not giving like a narrative on who Killer is, and there is not, or maybe I'm just not getting it. There's not something under all her looks and under all her performances that is very Killer and uniquely Killer, you know? But I really, really love her. As a person, as Ivan, the doctor, I really, really love her. So that's what I think. It's not being shady whatsoever. It's just that every time she talks about her background, she talks about being bullied, and she talks about everything else, artistically, like intellectually, everything like makes sense for me. And you cannot say that she's doing anything wrong. She hasn't done anything wrong really in the whole season. She has excelled at everything. And I think that the only thing that was missing was having that unique artistic perspective. You know what I mean? Then we have Sagittaria. Sagittaria looked absolutely gorgeous as usual. Her dress reminded me of the Aquaria mask that she wore. You remember that one? That one. Probably has nothing to do with it. Sagittaria, people didn't really like take her serious. They thought like, oh, she's like this cute twink that does drag and imitates everything that they do on the US. Well, first of all, Drag Race copying like the type of drag that they do in the US is also valid. I'm not saying that it's not valid and it's not great and it's not like, she does a very, very good job. She's a very young queen. She grew up watching Drag Race in the US. So the fact that that is her drag, she excels at that. It was 22 when they filmed this, and I think that she did a great job in the competition. What happens with Sagittaria, in my opinion, is that I was like heartbroken a little bit with her because she did great during the whole competition until like the snatch game. And then, in my opinion, I saw her like being progressively more and more tired. I don't know if it was tired, but it was like this huge light that she had like in the snatch game, or you know, the acting challenges, or being all stupid, that started to like become this small tiny light. And I don't know what happened. If it was something just like psychological, if there was something going on behind the cameras or in her personal life. I think they cannot talk too much about all of this, but I love Sagittaria. I love Sagittaria as an artist. And I'm always going to remember the Sagittaria from the first episodes where I felt like she was being herself and she was even surprising herself. And after that, I saw like her light started to dim a little bit. She always looked gorgeous, and everything she did, she excelled at. And she's a very, very well-deserving finalist. But I think that, I don't know, am I crazy? Did anyone else see this? Like, she peaked like episode 4 or 5, and after that, it's like, where did she go? Especially with the Dobby episode and all of that. After that, it's just like the confessional. She's like talking like this. I'm like worried. I get like mommy mode on. What's wrong? Do you want some milk and cookies? Please let me hug you. I get like worried for her sometimes. But well, I think she does great. She should be so proud of herself. I'm very proud of her. I just felt like she was progressively getting more and more tired. I guess they were all exhausted. But I really loved having someone like Sagittaria, that young, that fresh, that knows her Spanish references, that chooses Encarnita from El Batisterio for the Snatch Game, that is funny and outgoing and a slut, and all her runways and being naked. Like, she has done things that are remarkable, and she has all of this success and all this talent, and I'm glad that she was in the final and she did a great job, and she's one of the best drag queens that we had in the season, and that's why she was in the finals. And then we have Carmen Faralla. Carmen Faralla is our winner, obviously. So let me give you the tea, a little bit of tea. First of all, the look that she wore, and in one of like the promos for the very first episodes, or even the promos before the first, I don't know, don't remember where it was, but there was this picture where you could see Carmen with like a bag with fabric, and that fabric was actually the dress that she wore in the last episode. She was like, you know, those little like peaks. She was like, she was like, I told you guys from the very beginning. I already, like, you know, that was cute. That was cute. I like that. Then she had this wig reveal. So Carmen says that she has never watched Drag Race. And I think this like proves it a little bit. I think it was a great wig reveal, and she had this wet hair under that because the song they were lip syncing to was La Gata Bajo la Lluvia, which means the cat under the rain. So she wanted to have like this rain look, this wet look. So that makes sense, and that was like, but you know, if you watch Drag Race a lot, a wig reveal in the lip sync is like, if you haven't watched it, it's gaggy. It's lovely. Love it. And especially if it makes sense with the song you are lip syncing to. She did a great performance and everything. But yeah. So she revealed to a wet wig because of that. Because the song means the cat under the rain. More tea. So if we took like a point system to evaluate like how well each one of them has done in the competition, Carmen Faralla is the drag queen from every single season of Drag Race in history that has performed the best. She's the one that has like won the most challenges, never been in the bottom. She has outperformed Bianca del Rio, Envy Peru, and all like these great drag queens that never do anything wrong. So she was a very, very well-deserving winner. She was the best at drag racing, and she is the product that Drag Race wants. She is a very like fishy feminine queen that is very hot out of drag and is very like talented and funny and also like a good person. She is like the total package of what Drag Race looks for. Isn't like, she is exactly that, and I'm very happy she won because any other result wouldn't have been fair. Was she my personal favorite? Not really. I loved like being surprised. I like unexpected things. I also like the traditional part of it. I like subversive art. For me personally, Carmen Faralla is not my favorite artist. She is the artist that did the best in this competition, and she is the artist that is the correct and deserving winner because we are evaluating all of them through these challenges and these standpoints. So she is the best drag queen that we have? No, we have many drag queens, and you cannot establish like this one is better than this one, just like you cannot say like Dali is better than Picasso. It's stupid. They're different types of artists. But she is the best at this competition. And she is the best that there has ever been. It's not only in Spain. It's like she is perfect. And I think if there is one downside to Carmen Faralla is that she is so perfect that she is not relatable. We as viewers don't like the front runners to win. When there is such a clear front runner from the very beginning, we start to get like, we want the underdog to win, because especially when the viewers are like queer people, we're not used to being the ones that are perfect and loved and front runners for everything in life. We're used to being the underdog. An underdog is more relatable than one that is like a super winning, perfect human, like superhuman. And Carmen wins, it's like obviously she wins, but it's a little bit more difficult to relate because she did not have one single vulnerable moment in the whole competition because she's perfect. So when she wins, you're like, yeah, obviously she wins, but because it was very predictable from a very early point, and because you know, you kind of want an underdog to win because, I don't know, that's a little more relatable sometimes. But if anyone else had won, it wouldn't be fair. So, you know, so you kind of have both. But that's the only thing that maybe you can find like a downside to Carmen. She is so perfect that she didn't have a vulnerable moment. She was never like stressed. She was always like, yeah, I won again. That's Carmen all the time. Like, she was very good at what she was doing. So congratulations to Carmen. She did a great job. She is the best at drag racing. And now that I've talked about all of them, I want to talk about something. So, in case you didn't see, Drag Race España is the best rated season ever in IMDb, including all the 13 seasons from the US, the 6 All-Stars, Drag Race UK 1 and 2, Thailand 1 and 2, Holland, Canada, like Down Under. Down Under is the lowest rated one. So Drag Race España is the first one. The second one is All Stars 2. So this season has been like the best season ever. And I'm very glad that people appreciated all that Spain has to offer. Let's talk about why this is, okay, in my opinion. First of all, I think Supreme did such an amazing job at hosting the show, not only because she was very professional, it was especially because she was very invested in what was going on, in the girls, in their well-being, in, I don't know, like she was close and personable and relatable, and I think she did an amazing job because of that. I liked her as a host more than I like RuPaul. And I think the fact that she is relatable and she understands the girls and she values everything, that made that the decisions and the critiques from the judges were appreciated by the viewers because they were right. Many times in Drag Race, like, you listen to the judges and you're like, I don't get it. Now we kind of get it. You understand everything the judges are saying and you appreciate the way they say it. They didn't try to push too many like narratives. Yeah, the Dobby Sagittaria thing in the first episode, that was nothing. That was probably like not false, but I'm sure both of them knew the other one was going, like, you know. But they didn't try to push all these reality TV drama shit that they stir in the Drag Race US seasons. It wasn't like super produced. But especially, I think we had an amazing cast. When you're casting for a Drag Race España, you can either cast something that is more similar to what is expected from a Drag Race season, or you can try to include and celebrate what drag means here. And I think that Drag Race España did not have the best runways ever, not at all. You cannot have a better runway that Gottmik had in the season 13 finale. You cannot have a better runway, I don't know, that Violet Chachki and the crowning for season 8. You cannot have, that's already been done to the extreme, where it doesn't even make any sense anymore, like money-wise. It doesn't make any sense. Like, drag is supposed to be something subversive, counterculture, anti-establishment. It's supposed to be all these things. And we've created this drag race monster where, like, money and being in contact with all these amazing designers and having like dancing lessons and acting lessons and things that money can buy. We're so used to making what drag race means into this like consumable product that we have forgot what drag was supposed to be from the very beginning. And people are loving Drag Race España, and they didn't have the best runways whatsoever. The runways in Spain weren't that spectacular. They weren't. They were not. the challenges were shitty. 90% of them, the challenges were shit. Like, that is not important. That is not important. The important part is selecting cool artists, people that are pure, not trying to create false narratives, having critiques that make sense, and letting them be. Drag Race Spain is the best rated drag race season because I think it's the more pure season, because it made people feel in love of drag again, and it's not creating this huge monster of what drag race girls have become, and it's not continuing this narrative. It's like, stop. Like, why do you need a $25,000 dress? This is not supposed to be something that is won by whoever has the best contacts or the more privilege or the one who is able to have designers and classes and learn. And this is not supposed to be like that, is it? Like, here in Spain, it is so difficult to win any money as a drag queen that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. I think that it wouldn't make sense for them to spend a lot of money on the runway. Why would they do that? That is taking the US concept and trying to like put it in our brain. The Spanish season of Drag Race is probably the season where they've spent less on their runways from any other season. It's probably the season where they had less time to prepare, and it was still during a quarantine. I think they had like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to prepare everything, and I'm sure they didn't spend a lot of money on their costumes. And even though they had very little time to prepare, even though the runways were shitty, even though the writing for the challenges was like absurd and they weren't even that cool. In spite of all of that, it was the best drag race season ever. It was the best rated drag race season ever. So it's time for us to take a little time, start rethinking. We can be drag race lovers. Please protect and support your local queer artists, because this is showing you that it's not about all this huge production that Drag Race has become. It's about what drag is, creating safe spaces where artists can live their own fantasy and they make you participate in their own fantasy. So I think that's the key of the success of Drag Race Spain. I'm so happy. You cannot imagine. I'm so happy that that is the lesson that Spain had to give. I think it's the first time probably in my life that I felt any pride of being Spanish is this moment, because that's exactly the point. It is exactly the point. We cannot continue. You cannot overdo God Mick. It's not about that. We cannot continue in this path of spending $300,000 to prepare for a contest where the prize is $100,000, especially if you live in Spain and you're lucky if you get paid like 50 euros for a gig. So I'm super happy with this season. I'm super happy with what Spain had to offer to the international franchise. I'm very happy as a Drag Race enthusiast. I'm very happy that we got to like live this together and I got to do my reviews and everything. Now that the season is ending, I'm going to continue doing some videos and reviews about queer culture in Spain, and I'm going to do them in English. You know, I'm going to still like do a couple of things. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank a lot of people right now. I want to thank the IMHO girls, Darby, Alexis, and Auntie Chan. They have been like, they're doing their own reviews and they always talk about me, and I still like can't believe it. I'm gonna thank like everyone that has been supporting me from the very beginning, and all the Drag Race España girls. I'm gonna thank everyone that has been like, that thinks that I have something to offer. So thank you very much. My ego is like tripping a little bit lately and I'm becoming quite of a diva, but well. So I want to also thank the people that have sent me money through PayPal, because you guys do not understand the difference that makes in my life. I do need I'm trying to save for a camera. You know, I film everything and edit everything from my phone. I don't even have like a computer. My phone is like super. You cannot imagine how much I appreciate and the difference that all your PayPals are making in my life. So thank you very, very, very much. I wasn't expecting anyone to send me any PayPals. So I really want to thank Ivan Garcia, Miki Kawasaki, Timothy Edwards, Teresa Duncan, Emma Wakely, Gabriel Haisler, Aldona, Sarah O'Brien, Abdullah, and Alex Ormeno. Thank you all so very much. You're truly making a very, very big difference in my life. And for the next episode, we're going to have a special episode with like the crowning. I guess they are going to show us, you know, when the queens are watching live who is the winner. I'm going to try to make a video next week about that episode, but in that video, I would love to have like a Q&A. So I'm going to ask you guys to leave all the questions you want down below. It can be about Spain, about queer culture, about Drag Race, about myself. I don't care. Leave me a lot of questions down below or go to my Twitter account and leave me questions there. And I want to do a little Q&A for the next episode for the crowning. Well, how about that? And after that, when we finish with Drag Race, I'm going to continue doing some like queer culture, Spanish things explained in English. So thank you very, very much for your support. It truly means a lot. I feel like the luckiest person in the world. So that was our winner. Congratulations to Carmen. Congratulations to all the team. Congratulations to the 10 girls. I'm very happy that we got to experience this together. As always, I'm going to leave a bunch of links down below. You have my Twitter account, you have my PayPal account, you have my personal Instagram in case, I don't know, you get bored and you want to see a lot of stupid memes. And yeah, so thank you very much for following me in this journey. I love you guys. Stay queer.